1, 2, 3, 4. What's up, everyone? Hope you're doing splendid, because I've never used that word on Zack Live, the 59th edition, because that's what we're doing right now. Well, 59. That's a pretty powerful number. I don't know why, but it is. Thank you guys for being here today. Excited, thrilled, pumped up, ecstatic. So, here's the thing. A lot of you guys are asking me for help on cheap, easy, fun, engaging ways to be the anomaly. Of course, I'm here to give that to you today. And I think you're going to like this one. All right, so think about this. So there's a lot of events in town. There's a lot of opportunities in whatever town you live in. Okay? This is probably my single favorite kind of, maybe not single favorite, but one of my favorite kind of hacks to get in front of a group of people that you normally wouldn't be able to. And it's super easy to do it, and it's relatively cheap. Could be really, really cheap. So let's say you're an accountant. Okay? And by the way, I'm stealing this specific story from Alan Branch of Less Everything. And so he once had an accounting software business called Less Accounting. And the business sold accounting software. Now, the founders of Less were a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. A little weird, if you will. And I mean that in a great way, right? So they weren't like your status quo. They did some really cool stuff. There's a couple features about them in the book. And what's really cool about these guys is that they would find groups that would house their target customers. So oftentimes you can find your target customers by figuring out what events they're going to. Or maybe they're a part of like a chamber of commerce, or it's a dog park or something like that. That's a great one, a dog park, right? So instead of being kind of lame, you can find these target groups and provide them value and introduce yourself to them by doing this thing. Basically buying them food. I don't know why it works, but it does. So imagine that you learn that you cannot talk today, sorry. So let's say you have a dog product. Doesn't necessarily mean it's dog food. Or it's like a dog bone. And so those owners of dogs, where do they hang out? At a dog park, at a vet, at a educational meetup on how to train your dog, right? So you want to go find the organizer or the manager of these meetups, businesses, dog parks, or the things associated to whatever your target market is, your target customers are. And you want to ask them if you can bring the group something. That something could be cupcakes, oranges, coffee. And why this works is because what most people do is they go and they sponsor an event, right? Sponsoring an event, by the way, typically is really expensive and doesn't really get amazing results for most people. So instead, what you do is you go and you provide them value by giving them something that most people aren't. Now, number one, you're standing out because you're doing something weird. Right? That weird thing could be, taking all the dog owners there, a batch of cookies, a bunch of cupcakes, maybe pupcakes for the dogs. right? You have 2 series of them. Maybe you're at an accounting meetup, and at that accounting meetup, you give them pizza or cupcakes or alcohol, something like that. For whatever reason, by providing them food, and I don't mean like go spend thousands of dollars on some of this stuff. What happens is then that organizer and the group goes, oh, who bought us that food? Oh, it was XYZ business. Right? So for an event that we organize called Startup Night, we would ask this legal firm, Pierce McCoy, hey, can you provide the alcohol for the event? So they would either go buy the alcohol and bring it to me, or they would pay me to go get this alcohol. And Pierce McCoy is a boutique law firm, and they do legal work. That's great. But what's cool about this is then they could get in front of my target customer. So they realized that my target customer is also the same as their target customers. And when they could provide value in something that's a little different, offbeat, some beer, basically, some water, some soda, they got business from it because people were like, oh, who bought us this? Oh, this event, this thing was catered by XYZ company, and it doesn't have to cost a lot. I mean, it wasn't a lot at all for Pierce McCoy to, sponsor this event. And so oftentimes I think people are like, oh, how do I get in front of my target customer? Do that, right? So go buy them something weird. And I can almost guarantee that the organizer, number one, in most cases isn't getting offers like this unless the group is super huge, thousands of people, hundreds of people. But they're constantly looking to provide extra value to their customers. And a way to do that is by providing some sort of food or alcohol, something like that. It's really crazy how it works, folks. But by just providing people a bonus, they start to think about you. They're like, oh, that's really nice of them. Right? So like, I know Woody, who's listening here. Hey, what's up, Woody? Brian Wells, David Ritt, and many others. So Brian organizes a meetup of his own, a group of his own, the P40 network. What he could do, or like when Woody had his bakery meetup, what they both could do is, Woody could have someone that asked him, like, oh, can I provide the refreshments? Can I provide, you guys are making baked goods, but can I provide some sort of, liquid refreshments? Or you could do the same thing, Woody, where you're trying to get people to look at your business. You could say, hey, I want to buy cupcakes for your mom club or whatever it is. So you realize that a lot of your clients are moms who meet and have a meetup where they discuss, helping grow their families. I'm making all of this up. I have no idea if those things exist, but I'm guessing that they do. And because you recognize that your target customer is moms that are also, blogging or creating content, and that's what you can do, you then reach out to that group and you say, hey, I have I have this thing for you. I would love to bring cupcakes or handmade donuts or drinks or whatever. And you can get in front of those people. And then obviously you would have some sort of call, leave behind, hopefully. This is kind of like the food court example I think I've provided in the past, where you give them a little of something and then they buy more. And so these people get excited because they're like, oh, thank you. You made me dinner, right? So I judged a competition last night in Franklin, Virginia. I've been there a lot recently. It was finally the competition night. And a lot of the people are looking at opening restaurants, bakeries, etc. And all the companies that have food involved, they all gave food to the judges. I think that was smart. Now, what they do next is, if I like it, hopefully then I go not only judge them, in a positive way, but then also then go buy their product. Right? Maybe you're not a restaurant, but you can get in front of people by providing them what restaurants do. Food. When I worked in TV news, this was crazy. I would help judge competitions as well there. I would also help look at tapes. It was tapes at the time, DVDs. I don't know what either of those things are now. And to bring on new staff members. What would happen is these people would send in their resumes, and a resume is, a physical resume. But then also it would be a tape, a video, or something that they call a sizzle reel of their work. And in this work, basically everyone looks the same. And what they would do, some of these people, not very many of them, by the way, just a couple. Most people, every tape, every resume looks the same, right? If you've ever hired someone, everything looks the same. Here is a resume. Maybe there's a cover letter. Everything looks the same. So how do you stand out? You have to do things that are different, right? Same thing as this example, just in a little different way. So the one or two people who really wanted this job would send in a cake, a cookie cake, a dozen pizzas, whatever it is, because what happens is instead of looking like everyone else, right? In sponsors, everyone looks the same. Instead of looking like everyone else, instead when you're on the job market looking for everything else, here's what happens. You want to know what happens? You look the same. So instead, what you need to do is do something that looks different. So food does that. It's a very, very, very odd thing how food can get you past people. Cupcakes, alcohol, pizza, burgers, whatever. Get that in front of the groups that you want, because think about this. You go to an event, they go over all the sponsors. They list 10 sponsors, and I've done this myself. All 10 look the same. Okay? But if that one sponsor is giving you something that you can actually consume at that time, it makes you think about them. Oftentimes, if they have some sort of call to action there as well, they'll get on their laptops, cell phones, iPads, whatever, and actually look up that company at that point, because they have been satisfied and not just seeing some sort of, here's someone's logo, here's what they do. Those things matter 100%. But if you're trying to stand out in that crowd, what you have to do is be different. And again, I got this kind of idea. I've done it myself many times on both sides, right? So the three examples I'll give you, Pierce McCoy buying alcohol for my events, right? I knew that I needed alcohol to be bought. I went to them saying, hey, we have the same target customer. Why don't you buy the alcohol? Then you get in front of my customers. What happens next? You get new customers because you spend a very little amount of money on the thing that they're looking for anyway. And I found that alcohol at my events has helped. Number two. I don't know why I didn't count like this. Number two is the example of cupcakes with less everything. Less everything found accounting meetups or people that were talking like at different groups around their town and even not in their town. And they just said, hey, this is our target customer. They would reach out to the director of the show, the event, the meetup. And what would happen? They would say, hey, we wanted to know if we could buy you a bunch of cupcakes. And literally they were cupcakes. I was like, oh, that's really interesting. So not only was it not normal food, it was cupcakes. I was like, that's really interesting. And the third example I'll give is the one from my days in TV news. Where in TV news, and think about this, every job resume that you get, so let's say you're getting out of high school, you're trying to find a job, you're getting out of college, you just spent $100,000 and you're trying to find a job and you send a resume and they all look the same. You're trying to dazzle others, get their attention. Right? I use that word. I like it from the movie 21. I use that in the Kickstarter video. And so what you want to do is dazzle these people, get them to actually look up, which is a very challenging thing. It's a very challenging thing to get someone to look up. So when I worked in TV news, I saw this firsthand. I was like, oh, this is brilliant. I can't remember who sent it, but resumes come in all the time. Again, piece of paper says, oh, this is why I'm awesome. Then on that piece of paper, maybe there's a cover letter that's like, oh, here's some words saying why I'm awesome. They all look the same. They all say, hey, I'm awesome. Whatever. Then someone once did something that was amazing. They sent in a cake or like a cookie cake, something like that. You know, if you live where I live, you can get a cookie text. But, you know, you go to the grocery store, you spend $10, you send them a cookie cake, and they're like, if you've ever been to a newsroom, food in newsrooms are like, are like ants and sugar, ants and frosting, how like they'll just flock to it if it's outside or something like that. So the food literally will go super, super fast. But what happens is people go, well, where is this from? Yeah, Woody's Adam, cookie text. And so by providing that thing that's different, specifically food in these cases, you get someone's attention. And so the news director, who's typically one of the ones who would, you know, make the final decision in TV news, but it could be in any position, right? You're giving someone an opportunity to do this. Look up. And then hopefully you're bettering your chances of them doing this. Hello. How are you? Calling you. Saying, let's talk about this. If you don't own a business or you're looking for a job, you know, another way to do this is like if you're, and you don't want to do food, you could see who the hiring manager is. You could see who the person that you are looking to get a job from is, because usually when you're applying somewhere, it says their name. And you could do a little search and see like what they like. You could probably just go to their Facebook page and see what their interests are. Because Facebook has a feature that says interested in. Or you could just see like through some of their posts on their social media what they're interested in. Or oftentimes even in their About Us page, it just says, oh, I like fishing. I like the Boston Red Sox. I like this, whatever. And then what you do is this. Are you ready? Before you send the resume, before you put in the application, you provide some sort of value to that person. If it's a Boston Red Sox fan, maybe you spend a couple bucks and get a signed baseball. Maybe you get them a pennant, a t-shirt, a hat. And you send it to them. With a letter, handwritten card that says, hello, you don't know me. And you can't see me. However, I wanted to give you this thing. This jacket, baseball, coffee mug, Starbucks coffee card. And just introduce myself and say, hello. I will be applying to your job soon. and I saw that you were interested in the Boston Red Sox. And so I wanted to provide this to you. I guarantee you, as long as the person isn't like super like high level Fortune 25 CEO that's getting a crap ton of stuff, that person is going to see it and likely going to respond to you. Now, I'm not saying you're going to get the job for this. And also, if you're looking to get more business from someone, this technique works really well. So you could take and create a list of people that you're trying to get in front of and do this thing as well. We got some fans in the house today. Tim, John, Glenn. Sounds like a Beatles band or something. Hope y'all are doing well. All of you listening in cyber world, in your eyes and your ears. Some of you swimming laps listening to Zack Miller Live, episode 59. Bringing back balloons for episode 60. I'm lying. I'm not doing that. It was $15 for 10 balloons. That was ridiculous. $1.50 a balloon. But it was fun, and the helium stuff was fun. But we're talking about ways to get in front of people by spending just a couple of bucks to do something different. Specifically where most would be a sponsor or maybe trying to get a job. And how you can take this technique, which is providing them some sort of value and something that is of interest to their target customers, or to them if they're the hiring manager or the boss or whatever, by giving them something that that would compel them to do this thing. And if you guys are listening, I'm looking up basically. And so think about this. The world is consumed with how many different devices at this point? We used to talk about a second screen. I think we're on like fourth and fifth screens now. And what I mean by second screen is like, it used to be your TV and then your cell phone. Now I think it's like the TV, your laptop, your cell phone, an iPod, a laptop, all this other crap. And so you're competing with so much. And so you have to get someone to look up. That takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of effort, right? Getting people to watch and consume this show. I got to do things that not only provide value to people, but make them look up. And then once they're here, how do I keep them here? So one thing that I like to talk about a lot is imagine this is a remote control. In some instances it is. If you guys like what you're watching, by the way, would love for you guys to like this. Love it. Provide a comment. Ask any questions that you have. Share it with the world. So when I'm working with people, specifically on maybe building up and keeping people engaged in what they're doing, I say, hey, so when you're watching TV or you're watching a YouTube video or you're scrolling through on Facebook and you've actually stopped at this point, how quickly are you distracted to something else? Right? You know me, I have no notifications on my phone. I don't have social media on my phone anymore. Yes, by the way, I still don't have social media on my phone. It's glorious. But how often are you distracted? Doom, 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 doom. All the time. You're distracted all the time. Every 6 seconds or so. Think about this. When you're trying to find something, this is you clicking the remote. Boom, boom, boom. This is you on Facebook scrolling. I love the sound effects that I'm making. I'm just so good at them. But you're just scrolling for days, right? Then once you finally get to that content that you like or you stop, what keeps you engaged? You have to do things to keep people engaged. So if you're doing a presentation on whatever, it doesn't even matter what it is, you have to be building in features to get people to stay engaged on you. Or they'll click and go to someone else. That's what happens. I'm very humble, John. John says, and you're so humble, LOL. Pew pew. Hey, you stay here, okay? That's what I want you to do. I want you to stay here. So we're talking about ways, very cheap ways. Imagine if you find that there's a group of people that are your target customer that attend a meetup or like a prayer group or at a dog park. And you could spend $10, $15, maybe if that, to provide them some cupcakes. They're going to be like, well, who gave us these cupcakes? Oh, well, that was ARC4. Oh, what's ARC4? Well, ARC4 is a company that can build websites for you. That's interesting. So, before you were calling these businesses and saying, hey, look at me, I'm awesome, I can help you with this service. And while you can, it's hard to get in that door. Let's try to open this door right here. Where is it? Open it. Doesn't open. But if you can go around and go to the director, the organizer of a meetup or a group or the dog park, liaison and say, hey, I have this business where we build websites and I'm going to help you with it. Hold on. And I would love to provide your group some cupcakes because I know that they're hungry. Or I'd love to, bring you guys lasagna. You can go to lasagna from Costco, by the way. Get a lasagna from Costco, by the way, for like $10, right? Get some garlic bread in there. Cool. And I just love to provide that to your group because I know it's there. And in return, all I want you guys to do is hand out this piece of paper or give everyone this card or say, this dinner was provided by ARC4, who is a leading, design and web shop that can create websites for you. Then that group of 15 people, of which 5 of which are in the market for a website, what do? They say, well, I'm in the market for a website. I think I'm going to look at this site, ARC4. And see, by doing that, instead of being that annoying, Cox salesman, Cox is the internet provider for me, the cable company, or the used car salesman service where you just feel terrible and you're like, God, you don't want to feel that way, and you don't want people to hate you for that. So instead, you make friends with the organizer, and you say, I'm going to provide more value to your group. And by doing that, they're like, whoa. Because that organizer probably is stressed out of their mind. They don't want to spend the money themselves. And instead of going and attending that event yourself or just giving them a couple of bucks, you do something different by buying them food. And it works. But that exact technique also works when you're trying to apply for a job. Or you're trying to get new business from someone. By just spending a couple of bucks on people, saying hello, and providing them value in something that they appreciate, you're going to go a lot further. So imagine you go to that dog park. You own a dog. You own Frisbees for dogs. And you want the owners of the dogs to buy the Frisbees. So you can maybe buy a couple give a couple to the park. Or you could go in, talk to the organizers of the park, and say, you know what? I want to bring some treats for the dogs and some treats for their owners. And all I would love for you guys to do is just maybe tell people that I provided to them, and it was Zack's Frisbees. And you guys can learn about Zack's Frisbees at zacksfrisbees.com. See how you can get a better result by not being that annoying car salesman? Because no one likes them. When was the last time you went in a car dealership lot and you weren't ticked off? It's pretty hard. So, do you know who your target customer is? If not, that's the first thing you need to figure out. But then once you know who they are, where do they hang out? What groups are they associated with? And are those groups something that you can provide some sort of value to? And not being the status quo, the standard, by doing something different. So, what are you waiting for? If you want to get in front of people, figure out where they're hanging out and provide them some sort of value. A case of beer, some cupcakes, some pizza. Not all of that. That's a lot. Too much sugar high. Find the organizer. Reach out. You can find the organizers, by the way. I haven't said this yet. If you're looking at where to find these organizers, whoever created the event on Facebook, eventbrite.com, meetup.com, wherever that event is. Reach out to the organizer. Say hello. Zack Miller here. And I saw that you're hosting XYZ event next week. Super excited for that. Yay. I was wondering if your group was interested in me providing some free cupcakes so that you guys had something to munch on. Let me know, Zack. That's it. Likely that organizer is going to return the message. Hello, Zack. I got your message, and I am super excited that you're interested in helping provide some cupcakes to the group. Would love to. And in exchange, can we say anything about you? Signed, organizer. Hello, organizer. Zack here again. Well, that is so nice of you. Sure. Why don't you say this message? Okay, cool. It's that easy. All right, folks. That's it for the 59th edition of ZML, a.k.a. your favorite show, Zack Miller Live. If you guys love what you're watching, feel free to subscribe wherever you are, because subscribing means that you get notified, bing, when a new episode is available. If you guys haven't seen yet, we hit episode 100 of the 1004 show was with Laura Roeder of Meet Edgar. That was super exciting. And episode 101, I guess, is tomorrow. I can't remember with who. But you'll find out soon. Because we'll see it. Thank you guys for being with me today. If you guys like what you're watching, or you want to see something specific, you have a question, hit me up in the DMs. Until next time, Zack Miller, out!